back. Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our first segment for the morning, something definitely dear to all of us. Now, this one is actually about engaging men and boys to advance gender equity and prevent gender-based violence. Now, we've got some folks in to talk to us about it. As a matter of fact, we've got Ronald Stewart, who was one of the facilitators, or is a facilitator, for male workplace training sessions. So is Omar Rodriguez. And then we also have a participant, somebody who participated in the session. We have Rafael Roberts. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, man. Good morning.
I think
good morning.
This is definitely something dear to me, simply because primarily I've got girls, as my children are girls, and it's very disheartening when we hear about gender-based violence, men hitting on women and stuff like that. So first, primarily, I'd like to start with how the sessions actually got started. Who put it together? Where did the idea come from? Ronald, let's start with Ronald.
All right. It's a project through SCAN, which is the Spouses of CARICOM Leaders Action Network, in collaboration with the National Women's Commission and with support from Spotlight Initiative, that this project has been engaged with. We were trained over a period beginning last year and concluded this year, and the sessions began in March.
Okay, so let's talk about why this particular path was taken. And I'm asking it even though I've asked quite a few of these representatives before. When we talk to Women's Commission, Women's Department, when we talk about gender-based violence, one of the predominant questions always is, what about the men? How do you get them involved? And that's my question to you. Why did you choose to get involved?
I've been involved with other projects along with the Women's Commission since 2009. There's a project called Partners in Peace, where we were working with perpetrators to look at the effects of their actions on not only their partners, but the entire family. And so it progressed from that to where we are now. We're looking at men and boys, to be engaged in this project so that we could stem the whole issue of violence and to see what are the causes, bring about an awareness of the fact that we all have choices to make, and violence is one, but not one that is beneficial to anyone. And so,
if I may, I have served as a police officer, and I've seen the many forms of domestic violence and violence in a whole. And currently, I'm the vice president for Mary Open Doors up in San Ignacio, and I've seen, that at times our centers are overwhelmed. We don't have enough space, and these are things that have triggered me. And as a facilitator now with the engaging men and boys to advance gender equality, I'm really passionate about it and trying to be that difference in our community and overall in our country.
Omar, you have to share more with us about that. What is it? One, there are often very hasty generalizations made that this is common, men behave in this way. But from your perspective, both as someone who works with the police department and also Mary Open Doors, which is the place that women and their children run to escape what could potentially be a life or death situation in their home. What is that like for you on a personal level as a male in society today?
Okay, well, to a correction, I'm an ex-police officer.
Sorry.
I left 8 years ago, but I've moved on into different organizations that have been advancing this type of work. But definitely it has been a great opportunity, a learning, growing personally, professionally, and seeing this situation firsthand had made me very passionate about what I do today. And as a public figure now. I'm a counselor up in San Ignacio municipality, and it had given me that leverage to advocate, to fight for these type of work, to advance this type of work.
Omar, I'm sure that as a police officer, you've seen these things firsthand, and I'd like to know primarily, what do you think is the root cause behind men not feeling that women are equal?
It's something prehistoric. You know, we learned that in the old times, man was that of the hunter. He was the had to fight these animals, aggressive. He had to be there as the breadwinner and go out and deal with all these situations, while the culturally the woman was the nurturer, the peaceful, the loving one in home. And this had been passed down to us, you know, and through ignorance, all these things had continued. But thankfully, with initiatives such as the Spotlight Initiative, the National Women's Commission, this new initiative that we are starting out, it has shown that, you know, the woman had been fighting for this change for many years, and they realized through study and through other professional input that we need the men. We need to engage the boys and the men at a very early age for them to for us to combine our efforts to fight this.
So let's get Raphael in as a participant. Raphael, you participated in a training that took place in April. You were a part of the Belmopan Active Youth.
Active Youth.
It's a youth group.
Yes.
Tell me, were you selected to participate, or did you choose to participate, and why?
So, good morning, first of all. Thanks for having me on the show. I was selected to go and be a part of the training, and you know, it's up to our discretion to choose whether if we would like to attend or not. And I think from the get-go, hearing the topic, I personally chose to attend this session because it's something that has taken a rampant rise, especially with the COVID-19 being upon us, and it's something that needed to be addressed. So for me to be a part of this entire discussion and workshop that they had, and I thank Mr. Stewart so much for being open with us and also giving us the better guidelines as to what's going on, because really and truly, if you look at the violence that has risen, most people will say that the male is a you know, the world is known as a man's world, you know, as they say. So predominantly we will see male figures to be the more driven force and the more machismo and all of these stuff. But if you take a step back and you look at some of the causes that we discuss, sometimes it could be relation from past actions that other, your dad or so, that have maybe molded somewhere or another on subconsciously, and it is passed on. And sometimes it's basically because you don't have a father figure who can help guide you in that right direction. So personally for me, this has helped me a lot to better understand in terms of where we're going, because at the Department of Youth Services, it is all about the youth population, and working with the male population, we have to let them understand that it's not a man's world, but we can share it equally with females, because they are on the rise. And we have seen female taking over the top offices in our land, which I highly recommend. And I am applauding all those awesome women out there. And so for me to gain this training, it allows me to be more flexible when it comes to catering our services from the Department of Youth Services to the general public and also to the male, because we don't want them to feel as if they are the only driving force that is running around town. Mm-hmm. Also, when it comes to understanding that, your ego has nothing to do with who you should be. It should reflect some sort of positivity at the end of the day, so that when you leave from there, you can look into and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. I don't have a problem working with a female. I don't have a problem looking for guidance when it comes to somebody who is not of my same gender. And that's totally fine, because you don't have to be that solid, rock figure there.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to express yourself as a male. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to have empathy. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to feel as if, you're just there to provide, and not have any venue for you to express yourself.
Let me ask a question, and whether it's Ronald, Omar, or Rafa who wants to answer, go ahead. Very often when we see or hear of men who are just openly angry and hostile, especially towards women, and it starts with language and interactions, and then in cases of gender-based violence, it moves into violent behavior as well. Mm-hmm. Many people look at a person like that and think of, how were they socialized, or what issues are they carrying? Yeah. If I see someone like that, I know they have major issues, or I feel that they have major issues that took place in their life as to why they cannot interact with women at the same level. Is that something that you find in your interactions and training? And how do we undo that sort of socialization or experience?
Yeah.
So I personally would say on my behalf that when it comes to our training and so forth that we have at the department, whether it's it's an all male, all female, or it's a mix, we try to let them understand that whatever background they have, whether it could be a negative background, we try to let them understand that it's not the right path. For instance, if somebody come in there, let's say a male come, and they choose that a female can't be their leader, we would dialogue with them and ask, why do you choose? And some of the time it might be because my dad is the household, the general in that house, and he calls the shot. And so we try to let them understand that it is not about the males. It's not about only us can take these these roles. We have to understand that female are also career driven, and so for them to think in that manner, we try as best as we can to let them understand that it is more of equality rather than running with one gender being superior.
Ronald, let's get Ronald to chime in on this too, because
one of the things, Marlene and John, socialization is so important. It forms the parameters of how we view life and our participation in it. And in many instances, through the nurturing process or the lack of it, these situations develop where some men see women as less than themselves, and unfortunately become, in their view, more objects rather than persons.
Yeah.
So they would look at the situation as being one where I could do anything that I want because you are not my equal. And it is really a false premise or perspective to look at someone, because I would always say, I would turn the situation around. What if you were the person who is on the receiving end? And so it's important for us to recognize that our actions is not limited only to the person that it might be directed to, but certainly there are persons who could be on the periphery or nearby in terms of your actions that are affected by it as well, even if they're as observers. And so we need to be aware and be accountable, first to ourselves and to everyone, that we do things that will bring about, promote the benefits of not only in the first instance your family, but the wider community and the country as a whole.
And Omar, can we get your perspective as well?
Sure. In one of our sessions, we teaches about the concept of the man box, And the man box is actually filled with all of our past, how we were socialized, our upbringing, and many of them is filled with toxic masculinity and as well as healthy masculinity. And through this process, we teach the young men them that how to filter out the toxic part of it. And the man box, we need to get out of that and embraces the new changes, and this is what we're doing. So when we talk about toxic masculinity, it's all of these negative things that have been molding and bringing men to perpetrate these type of activities. And our intervention now is to say, all right, we need to filter out all these negative stuff and bring in all the positive, and we'll make these young men and men to be agents of change, to be champion these type of changes of gender equality. So that concept is real. It's been there from the very beginning, but we need to start unpacking all these negative stuff.
Ronald,
And
sure, go ahead.
let me just tie in one thing here. Research has shown that very often there is a link to child abuse, to this type of behavior. And child abuse of different ranges. It could be neglect, it could be psychological abuse, it could be physical or sexual abuse. Very often these behaviors are rooted in some sort of trauma. What is, from your perspective, and I know your training is not necessarily working directly with perpetrators, but it is also trying to teach men how to support one another. If the issues are that deep, what are your thoughts, or what are some of the solutions that you all have recommended to move men away from the pain that they've experienced so that they don't inflict it on others?
Marlene, it's a structured process where we look at the attitudes of men in general, and the fact that we live in a patriarchal society, and in a lot of instances, because of socialization, we were brought up to believe X, Y, and Z about ourselves as men, and conversely about women, and not really looking at the picture and the contributions that women make that are very significant. I remember there was a theme or a slogan on one of the shirts back in March a few years ago, the Women's March, said something to the effect, what would Belize be like without women? And in a lot of instances, we take so much for granted that we need to take a look at situations like that at times to realize that when we take people for granted, then we don't see the value that they have. And our responsibilities as individuals are to ensure that we learn of ourselves and our interactions and how we could make the best of a situation for everybody.
Getting back to the training sessions, and I'd like to get your perspectives, Ronald. What were some of the commonly asked questions? Because while men, or you engage men in these sessions, I'm sure there are things they might not have known about themselves or about this particular conversation in general. What were some of the most commonly asked questions there?
At the beginning of the session, we would ask, what is masculinity? What is it all about being a man? And how do you interact with those around you, whether it's other men or with women, children? What do you feel is your responsibility as a person? And invariably, persons, it may have been the first time that they had that sort of question posed to them in such a direct way. And looking at the impact that their actions have had or would have on others that they may not even have considered.
What was it like, Omar? Tell us, to have a group of men come together to speak about in such a progressive way. I mean, you've all said it in your own ways that we know that historically the patriarchy has been established, and what you're doing is kind of opening minds and introducing new ways of seeing the world. What was it like to have a group of men together having this conversation?
Yeah, well, it's pretty exciting. We're learning. Even though we are facilitators and trainers, we're learning through the process to better ourselves, being better fathers, better husband. And when you listen to these men, their ideas and their concept of life and how they're doing things in their environment, homework, it makes you stronger, and it gives me that courage to do what I'm doing, to continue advancing this type of work. And it's a learning process. Every day we're learning to become better, and through these sessions, I'm really discovering myself in a way, and striving. The world is challenging in these times, and definitely I'm fueled by the passion I'm seeing that these men do have it in them, and they want to be changed. They want, and this is what this program and this initiative is doing. It's giving us an opportunity to better ourselves and to become better citizens, better fathers, better husbands, and better leaders.
What is it like? As I see those images of the security forces all in one room, and you're talking about engaging men to discuss, their role in relationships, their role in society, and also, I'd imagine, kind of giving them the opportunity to tap into their emotional side. What was that like?
Certainly, it was a wonderful experience, Marlene, because, many times people would think I am a person who is only seen as the work that I engage in. And so we strip that away and say, listen, yes, you may be from a particular organization, but you're here as a representative of your family or the family from which you come.
Yeah.
And so while your work engagement might be one thing, you have a different set of responsibilities when it comes to your family. Apart from meeting all the needs, you also have to ensure that you have a very balanced view as much as is possible towards any given situation. And we may not have all the answers, but certainly looking at the fact that we have resources that we could tap into. There are friends or there are organizations that may not necessarily particularly deal with the perspective of men, but we have persons who we associate with. And so it's important for us to ask for help when we need it and recognize that, yes, while we have, in most instances, have not been socialized to share our emotions or to look at the impact that our emotions have on our actions, we need to understand that it is not weak for a man to express his emotions, whether he feels like crying is something that he needs to do, because everybody may not understand that when we cry, it is cleansing. And it doesn't mean that we're weak, because we do have emotions. And we need to look at that situation and understand that when we're best able to express that freely, the real persons that then come out.
Yeah, you're totally right there. But Ronald, when these workshops or these training sessions, how often do you hold them, and who could participate? How do you get to participate?
It is arranged through the Women's Commission, and any organization who want to have their employees participate in it. The arrangement is made through the SCLAN, the Spouses of Spectrum Leaders Action Network, and the National Women's Commission.
Yeah.
And once they have gotten the arrangements together, then the sessions are led by two facilitators, so that we have an opportunity to engage persons throughout the course of the training session.
Do you feel that we're making a breakthrough, especially talking to these men, and so they know exactly how to channel, where to channel their emotions? Do you feel that a breakthrough is being made as we speak?
Particularly the last session, I had to commend. In that session, there were 2 women and 25 men. And I had to commend them. I said, listen, in all my years of experience, it was the first time I had a room practically filled with men, apart from the 2 female participants and those who were there to give their support from SPAN and from the National Women's Commission, that men want to have healthy, safe spaces to express themselves, and we created that space, and they certainly took advantage of it. That they in turn said that they want other people in their organization to experience the same thing that they did. And I said simply it was a beautiful experience, that they are able to see themselves or see things from a different perspective. And it's not that they are bad people, but simply they may not have had the opportunities to have been exposed to such and see what impact their actions have had or is having on others.
And finally, for me, Raphael, you participated in one of the sessions. What are you taking away? What did you take away from the session?
So what I take away is that basically that when it comes to giving out roles and responsibility, that I also have to be mindful that others can assume when it comes to the gender, there's other people that can assume different posts, that we should not look at somebody and just quickly judge them because based on they're assuming somebody else's another gender's role. That is perfectly fine. And when it comes to making decisions in my household, I become a lot more understanding and let the boys and also the girls understand that it is okay for you to follow your dream, and that these barriers are, they're now finally being taken down, and it's okay for you to be a prep cook. It's okay for you to be a nurse if you're a male. It's okay for you to do the dishes. It's not a female's thing.
You are not a babysitter, you're a father.
You're a father, you're not a babysitter, very important.
Now, I mean, this is, first of all, congratulations to all of you as participants, as facilitators. Congratulations to the agencies that set it up, National Women's Commission, and spouses of the Caribbean Leaders Association. It's so important that men and boys have a space to understand and to be able to discuss things like this. Let me ask you, what is your hope that this will transform into? It's a start in a direction. I mean, I know John is really excited about it because this is one of the things we've talked about so much on the show. So where do you hope it would go from here, and what is the impact you think it will have?
So my hope is that the male population can get to better understand themselves, and that when they choose to start to mold themselves into the manhood section and fatherhood, that they be more understanding, caring, and that the population can start to move away from this machismo and also moving away from all of these violence, because it plays no role. So I hope that the generation that is now can mold themselves and better understand that it's okay for you to transition into a positive person. And for me, I just really hope that our male society can listen and start to reason on a positive scale for me.
Yeah. All right.
Omar?
You're muted.
You have to unmute your mic. All right, then you go, Ronald, while he does that. Where do you hope this will go?
Certainly the overall goal of the project is to train a coalition of male leaders in our community to serve as advocates. We want to ensure that persons are added. So from all indications, John would like to engage you in the process and to seek other men who are looking at the broader picture, what it is that we are doing as a society, what are we doing as individuals in the society in which we live, to make it a better place for everybody. Because when women are seen and treated as equal, it doesn't mean that anything is being taken away from men, but simply that we are balancing the situation and to ensure that we maximize the contributions that everyone makes.
Yeah.
Women and children and men.
And Omar, you're there with us?
Yeah, I'm here now.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I'm very passionate about this type of work, and I've been doing it for the past 15 years. I've had the opportunity to attend specialized courses on masculinity in San Salvador, and I've seen how these type of work have transformed men to become healthy masculinity, bringing healthier relationships, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I have been learning and growing, and I see this positively impacting Belize and our different workplaces. It's a work in progress. The aim is to create a men coalition throughout Belize where we will have our own association guiding and seeing this process through with our greatest allies, which is the Women's Commission and ESCLAN and other organizations. And I see it very positively. It will impact lives of boys and men, that there is hope. There is opportunity of change, and we are the change that we want to see in the world. We need to be that change. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity that we've given this morning to share these things with Belize and the world.
Well, I hope that we have more men coming forward to sign up to participate, to sign up to become facilitators, because we do very often look at perpetrators and look at some of the people, some of the men in our society who have difficulty interacting with women, and we don't look at the other side, at the men who are getting it right, at the men who are working on doing kind of this socialization that they've had, and allowing themselves to be human.
Yeah. And just to conclude, guys, you know what the biggest takeaway for me is that it's mentally healthy for us men when we make the breakthrough to see a woman as an equal. I'll tell you why. Why is that? That for me is simply because we now sit at the same chair. We are on the same steps on the ladder. That for me is a healthy mind and a healthy lifestyle, to know that she is an equal. Yeah. Guys, I'd like to thank you so very much for the morning. Thank you for joining us this morning to share with us what you've learned and share with us how best forward we can go in our country. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Best of luck.
We're about to take a break, but I'll tell you what, you want to stay with us simply because counseling services, that's the next topic we'll be discussing: when to seek and how to ensure that it is the right fit. That and more